Welcome to a Tuesday edition of Beyond the Arc. I'm your host, John Gonzalez, alongside our NBA insider, Bill Ryder, and Ashley Nicole Moss, who is fresh off a very entertaining W draft last night. How was that, Ash?
It was very, very cool. I think that it just shows how much the women's game is growing. They held it at the Academy of Music in Brooklyn. It was mayhem. There were fans lined up down the street just hoping to get a look at some of the draftees. Obviously, Caitlin Clark went number one. No surprise there. Fun fact, her jersey, the minute she got drafted, sold out 26 minutes. Is that not crazy?
Wow.
My son wanted one, Ash, and I didn't know I had to move that quick.
Yeah, sold out the minute she got drafted. It was very cool. I don't know if I love the venue just because if anyone's ever been to the Academy of Music in Brooklyn, it's very much a theater. Being from there, I'm familiar with it. It's meant for like orchestras and plays. So like the hallways are very narrow and like there's not a lot of like movement for big groups of people because it's meant for like actors and musicians to like run up and down certain stages and exits and stuff like that. I would like to see it next year in some place that has a little bit more flow. Other than that, though, I think that they did a fantastic job. Everyone came out to support and very excited for the W season. It's going to be a good one. We have a lot of games here on CBS. So you guys should definitely check them out. It's gonna be some good ones.
What about Angel Reese and Cardozo on the same team too? That's fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be nuts. Cameron Brink went to LA. So it's good. A lot of good teams to like look out for. And then obviously the college game is going to continue to grow with Juju and the girls that are still there. So definitely check it out. And like I said, CBS, we have a bunch of games this year. So we should pull up, guys. You want to pull up?
I love the promotion. Nicely done by you. And also nicely done by you getting back in time to do our show today. So
yeah, I'm very tired. So
but you're fighting through it. You're a professional.
I hate those early flights.
Yeah,
I hate those early flights.
Very tired.
Well,
credit to you, Ash.
Ashley is here. Credit to her.
We're here.
We're thrilled to have her to discuss NBA basketball, which the play-ins start today. So later in the show, we're going to discuss the 9-10 Western Conference matchup between the Kings and the Warriors. And then Bill's NBA awards ballot is evidently due today. That just got dropped on him.
Thank you, NBA. Let me tell you this, guys. Everybody that's voting that I've talked to, really thrilled that this thing is due. And where are we? 5 hours. Thank you, NBA. I'm super pumped.
We're going to talk through that with Bill. And then also, Team USA's Olympic roster got announced yesterday, and it is absolutely loaded, but there's one spot still available, so we're going to discuss who should probably get that. But first, we're going to start with the Western Conference play-in. 7 Pelicans against the 8 Lakers in New Orleans tonight. Lakers smacked them on Sunday. They took the season series 3-1. Every game was a blowout. Any shot for the Pelicans in this one? The Lakers really seem to have their number. I don't know what it is. Zion's been playing great this season, but then whenever he plays against LeBron, it feels like the lights are too big. He's deer in a headlight type of situation. Pelicans kind of fall apart against the Lakers. What kind of chance are we giving them?
I have a sneeze.
I'll go. God bless you.
Sorry.
God bless you. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you.
In a 7-game series, Pelicans have very little chance. I like the Lakers tonight, but it's one game. I was just looking at this a second ago. I mean, if they shoot 45% from the 3-point line, let's say, which they've done in looks like 3 of their last 11 games, they just get hot. Any of these playing games, anything can happen. But I'm with John. Zion's not been Zion-like when he's played the Lakers. LeBron went to that 2015 finals level in that Sunday game. I'm sure he'll do it tonight. It feels advantage. And the Lakers didn't have to travel. I know they're on the road, but they just happenstance. They were already in New Orleans since they played them. So they got to chill and relax. Ash, I love the Lakers in this game, even though they're all 1 games. So who knows? Anything could actually happen, but I think Lakers have the advantage.
Do you, would you say, and there's a reason I'm asking this, would the both of you say that the Pelicans overall are better than the Lakers, or the Lakers overall are better than the Pelicans?
I think the Lakers are a better playoff team, John.
Well, just team. Let's just don't specify by playoff. Just would you say the Pelicans are better than the Lakers on paper, or the Lakers are better than the Pelicans on paper?
The Pelicans are deeper on paper, but the Lakers have better high-end talent. Like the 2 best players on the floor are going to be playing for the Los Angeles Lakers. So that's kind of a problem for the Pelicans. And here's the other thing. This matchup, part of the reason why the Lakers, I think, have smacked around the Pelicans all season is the Lakers are one of the biggest teams in the NBA. They like to play big, right? The big guys for the Pelicans have not acquitted themselves well. So Jonas Valanciunas in this series this season is, I believe, a -29 when he's on the floor against the Lakers. So it hasn't gone great. And Zion's even worse. Zion is -50 something. It's been brutal for him. Yeah, -29 for Valanciunas when he's been on the floor. They're actually +1 with Larry Nance against the Lakers. So I wonder if they'll run some Larry Nance out there. They've been using Valanciunas less lately. And Zion is -59 against the Lakers this season. That is brutal.
Well, the reason I ask is because my dad, when he was teaching me basketball, specifically NBA, he would say all the time, in a 7-game series, 9 times out of 10, the better team will always win. But in a one and done situation, much to Bill's point, it can go either way. I think that in a 7-game series, the Pelicans would have a better chance of coming out on the winning end against the Lakers. But in a one and done situation, much to what we're talking about here, Zion can bully everybody in the NBA, apparently, except for LeBron. And the Pelicans do not match up well, it seems like, with the Lakers whenever they have to play him. It seems to always be a struggle. So although I would, in a 7-game series, give somewhat of a more hopeful answer for the Pelicans, I think in a one and done situation, the Pelicans are cooked. They're going home.
I agree with all of your analysis. I think it's outstanding and specific and excellent. I'm just going to dumb it down. I'm going to go James Carville, who back in the day, right, political operative, who said it's the economy, stupid. I think he's the one that said that. I hope I'm quoting it properly. Yeah. I won't say stupid because we're all smart here, but to the people listening, it's LeBron, everybody. I mean, in a one-game series, LeBron James, not in this game. I mean, I guess anybody's beatable. As Aaron pointed out in the chat, maybe Zion can bully everybody in the NBA. He can't bully LeBron. LeBron's actually going to focus extraordinarily seriously on defense. He had that monster game on Sunday because LeBron can do that. By the way, Anthony Davis, I looked up, I mean, LeBron's having a 25, 7, and 8 year, and Anthony Davis probably having a better year. I mean, it's just, it is an elimination game. It is a game 7 without the first 6 games, and I love LeBron and AD in that situation.
Well, it's not like it's a one and done though. Doesn't the loser?
Yes,
just for this game,
the winner of the next game
of the Warriors Kings,
which might be a blessing in disguise. If the loser of this game, wins the next,
then
game,
you end up missing the Nuggets. Whoever loses this game, if they win the second game against the winner of the Kings and the Warriors, then you end up missing the Nuggets in the first round, and you draw OKC. Now OKC is sitting here going, "Hey, everybody's talking about dodging the Nuggets. We're the 1 seed here. We've been here all season long." That's going to be bulletin board material for them. I am interested to see tonight because LeBron's going to guard Zion quite a bit. Who ends up guarding LeBron on the flip? Previously, they've thrown a lot of Brandon Ingram at him. Brandon Ingram just came back the other game in the last game of the season against the Lakers in the game that they got smacked around. He played 23 minutes. He scored 13 points. He looked fine defensively, though. He's not big enough and strong enough to guard LeBron. But then if you throw Zion at LeBron, now you're asking Zion to do a lot. I just don't know if he's going to be able to stick with LeBron. There are real matchup problems there. Before we go to break, I want to throw this at you guys. Despite all this, we're all talking about the Lakers, right? This should be the Lakers. Lakers have handled them all season long. Pelicans are a 1-point favorite. Yeah,
but that's at home is basically
up to 1.5 now.
Yeah, but that's even. I mean, that's just a road. That's just a home advantage bump. That's basically Vegas saying it's a coin flip.
I mean, Aaron dropped a really interesting stat in here. LeBron 2-0 in 1-game play-in games and 5-0 in first game. So LeBron rarely ever loses in the first round. Take that information and do with it what you will.
And took last year's Lakers playing team to the conference finals. So I'm with you, Ash.
Yeah, no, but I'm not going that far. We can pump our brakes there. Yeah.
This is the time of year. As good as LeBron has been in the regular season, he's been awesome. He has another level. He has a different gear that most guys can't get to.
I think it's the Lakers tonight too, but aside from the point spread, the CBS predictive model has the Pelicans as the favorite, 52%. It's a coin flip, yes, but the slight edge. I'm just a little surprised that all roads point towards the Lakers except for the betting lines in the predictive model.
Can some math person, because it's not me, go back and tell me how the predictive models have done over the last? I'd love to know. Like I always get these predictive models because the guy's really smart, the guy that sends it to us. But I get it, but I never get a recap. Like, hey, this year I went 13-82. Sorry, I never get a recap on the predictive models.
I don't know. They're all much smarter than us, but we'll see what happens tonight. I'm excited the play-ins are starting. That's the Lakers and the Pelicans game. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to discuss the 9-10 matchup, Warriors and Kings. That's next right here on Beyond the Arc.
the UEFA Europa League quarterfinals on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
Welcome back to Beyond the Arc. John Gonzalez, Ashley Nicole Moss, and Bill Ryder. If you consume us as a podcast, you can find us wherever you get your favorite shows. Please download and subscribe. Leave us a review. It helps people find us. All right, 9-10 matchup tonight. Kings and Warriors.
This one I'm excited about.
Warriors on the I mean, look,
Yeah,
Warriors
they're
have been
both
awesome
great
on the road lately. 17 of their last 21 they've won. Kings scuffling a little bit, but still plucky. They lose Malik Monk. They lose Kevin Huerter. They're going to be asking a lot of De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis tonight before we get to the predictive models and the lines and all that stuff. Just like 30,000-foot view here. What do we think? Can it be a game? Can the Kings maybe stay in this?
I actually think they can. I think with this being a one and done, this one is a one and done situation. The loser eliminated, right? So the Kings and the Warriors sometimes have these very weird games and they seem to get on each other's nerves and to do it well. I've seen Kings games versus the Warriors that they've just demolished them. I've seen Warriors games where they've done the same. I've seen games where it's come down to the wire. Now, to your point, those games 9 times out of 10 have involved a more complete Kings team than we're going to see tonight. So that is something definitely that leans me more towards the Warriors side. But also on the Warriors side, you have a guy by the name of Draymond Green, who's a ticking time bomb. And all you need to do is push the right button to get him to react and completely remove him out of the equation. I don't know if that's the game plan for Sacramento. I'm not saying it should be the game plan. I'm just saying if I was in a Sacktown jersey, that would be my game plan. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, this is a great – and by the way, the Mike Brown thing is really interesting too. Head coach in Sacramento was the number 2 guy in, for 6 years, I think, or somewhere in that range in Golden State. I mean, you're right about Draymond. He's a ticking time bomb, but he's the bomb that's going to go off and I think impact the Kings in a bad way. Maybe he'll detonate if they make a 7-game series in a bad way for the Warriors. Anybody can win these games. It's one game. It's one game. I love the Warriors, John and Ash. I think they're the better basketball team. You go, and we've talked nonstop about this, but it's still true. Since Draymond Green, you can measure it however you want. You go back to when he got reinserted in the starting lineup. You can go to the All-Star game. They're just a different basketball team since Draymond Green stopped being an idiot, if I can use that word, and started just being a basketball player again. The Warriors have so much more experience. I think the Malik Monk thing is really, really significant. Yeah. Give me the Warriors. I like the Warriors to win the next 2 games. I certainly think they win tonight.
They split the season series 2-2, and they were pretty close on points per game, but the Warriors shot the lights out against them, 52% against the Kings this season, and the Kings about 45% from the floor. And as Bill mentioned, when you don't have Malik Monk coming off the bench, you're asking a ton of Fox and Sabonis, and you need more from Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray, I thought was going to take the leap this season. He's been good in spurts. There's been stretches where I'm like, oh, that's Keegan Murray that we've all been promised. And then there are games that he kind of takes off. The rotation, I don't know if you guys have checked out the rotation the Kings are running out there without Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. You're getting like big Davion Mitchell minutes. You're getting big Trey Lyles minutes. There's
Davion Mitchell, dude.
There are games when Alex Len is getting run out there. They had Colby Jones. They had Sasha Vesnikov having to play some minutes before getting DNPCD'd. I mean, they're just throwing anything they can out there. Mike Brown is trying all these different combinations. I'm not sure that any of them will work. I do want to run this past you guys, though. Bill just said that he likes the Warriors to win the next 2 games. No 10-seed, small sample size theater has ever made it out of the play-in. We think this is the year? I mean, what happens if the Lakers fall down?
So here's the thing, and that's a point that I thought that just hit me that is interesting. Maybe it won't go this way, but if the Lakers lose tonight, I almost wonder if they should be rooting for the Warriors because the Kings have owned Sabonis has owned Anthony Davis this year. It's been an interesting level of I don't know how well the Lakers actually match up against the Kings. Anyway, to answer
that's crazy talk.
I'd
much rather have the Kings.
I hear what you're saying, but Sabonis has dominated AD this year. And
he has.
Producer Aaron pointed this out, he's afraid of him.
Not just this year, and predominantly most of his career.
So the game I went to with Henry a few weeks ago where he met Jeannie Buss and hung out with the Lakers girls, I mean, Sabonis just bullied AD. Anyway, yes, the thing is I think the Warriors can, but it's a coin flip twice and or close to it. So even if you're 60-40 twice, your odds are still only like 36. You're 1/3, right? Even if you're good, if you're sort of a slight favorite in both those games, which they probably won't because they're on the road. But I'm not willing to give up on Steph yet. And maybe it's emotional. Maybe it's just because I love him as a player and I love what he's done. And I don't want to think about the window closing on this season and the seasons ahead. But I'm maybe hard overhead. I'm here for the Warriors to win tonight and beat whoever the hell they play. I mean, in the next one.
So is the NBA, for being honest. You don't want either of these teams to get bounced.
Right.
You want both of them in the playoffs, both of them facing each other, if possible, at some point later down the road. So if you're into conspiracy theories, it's going to be the Warriors. If you're into the other side of things where you don't believe in the script, you're probably thinking go either way. I think that it should go the way of the Golden State Warriors tonight. If everything goes according to plan for the Golden State Warriors. And for me, that plan is named Draymond Green. I need Draymond to just control himself, not take the bait, and just play his game, and they'll be fine. The Warriors have a lot more than the Kings have on the roster right now. Not saying that if this was a fully stacked Kings team, we'd be looking at a similar result or having a similar conversation. But they're at a disadvantage right now. They're a little bit weak in the way that they're constructed currently because of everything that they're lost and they've been dealing with. The Warriors should take advantage of this easily. Not easily, but they should take advantage of this.
Yeah, they're 2.5-point favorites. The predictive models have them at 51%, so it's a kind of a coin flip. I will say, though, on those predictive models, the Pelicans and the Lakers are heavily, heavily favored to make it into the playoffs proper. There's a reason why no 10 seed has ever made it out. It's a tough road. I mean, they have about a 25% chance, both the Kings and the Warriors, to make it into the playoffs proper. Yeah. So, yeah, you got to win too, and it's a tough game. Man, can you imagine, though? We're talking about, obviously the NBA, and for us too, I would guess, from an entertainment standpoint, would much rather have the Lakers and the Warriors make it into the playoffs proper. But can you imagine nightmare scenario where neither of them make it, and you get the Pelicans and the Kings out of it? That would be an absolute disaster.
I mean, this is, so we keep talking about this,
but not probable.
No, I mean, all these teams are pretty good. And so it's not, there are no Chicago Bulls, Atlanta Hawks on this side of the bracket. All of these teams, those teams aren't very good, Ash, is what I'm saying.
Why'd they catch a stray like that? That was me.
Because they're not that good.
Nobody's looking forward to that game.
Nobody cares about.
Listen, Chicago took us to the mat in a game that they should have.
Who's us? This podcast?
No, the Knicks. They took us to the mat in a game that they should have just mailed
Ashley's
it in.
praying for the Knicks now. She does have a jersey with her name on it.
Oh yeah. When's that getting hung up behind you? When are we doing that?
I gotta figure out where to put it. I don't know, but yeah, when I say us, I mean the New York Knicks.
It is expensive.
Chicago's
to frame a jersey.
I don't think Chicago's as bad as their record shows that they are. Just to come to their defense, I think that there's a lot of talent on that team. It just hasn't been able to be recreated in a way that is successful, if that makes sense. I wouldn't go as far as comparing them to the.
I think every team in the Western play-in, other than the Kings, are good enough to make a conference finals. They won't because of the road, but I think that we have talked at one point this year, each of you have made a case at one point in this podcast this year for the Warriors, for the Lakers, and I know, John, you have for the Pels to be good enough to make a conference finals. So it's not outrageous, even if they're in a bad moment.
The bloom is a little off the rose on that for me, but I do like talking through this with everybody. And for the listeners, if you go to our YouTube page, you can find us at Beyond the Arc CBS. You can vote on tonight's play-in games. You can vote tomorrow on those play-in games, which we'll have a preview for you tomorrow. So check those out as well. We're gonna take a quick break, and then Bill's in a tough one here. Sticky pickle, sticky wicket. He's got to get his. I don't know what that saying is, but it's one of those, and it means. I think it's a sticky wicket and he's in a bit of a pickle. I kind of combine those two. Either way, it's not going to go well for Bill because Bill's got to put together his all NBA ballot, all his voting for the NBA awards in the next 4 hours. So we're going to take a break and then we're going to talk through it with him. Bill's sweating it. That's next right here on Beyond the Arc.
Out there are two colossal beings, both forces of nature in their own regard. But in here, as soon as the chute bursts open, the duality of man and beast begins to fade. This is the PBR on CBS Sports Network.
Tuesday edition of Beyond the Arc. Because the NBA changed the way that awards happen this season, because of the 65 game threshold, they're leaving voters like Bill with less lead time. Bill got his ballot earlier. The rest of all the voters are freaking out about this. They got to turn it in 4 hours. Bill, how you feeling? Let's talk through some stuff.
So I'm just going to complain because that's what people love to hear. And they told us it was going to come, but my impression of what I was told was going to come the end of the week. So I have many interviews with people around the NBA schedule to sort of run things by them on Thursday, 48 hours after my ballot's due. So that's not going to be very helpful. I've got a dilemma. You are each going to have a voting sort of interest in this, or a rooting interest, and probably one of you strongly disagree. So I've got my top 4 locked in. You're going to like this, Ashley, and
for
the
MVP
Celtics fans
I actually saw a list go around Twitter recently of some of the votes that were already put in for MVP.
None of them are submitted yet. So
your name's on the list. It was a bunch of media people,
that's wrong.
The name is Nikola Jokic, and then the only person who has Luka is Chris Broussard.
Broussard? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. All right, like this is going to make my bosses super happy at CBSSports.com, but I'm just going to be honest. I don't really take that very seriously when they make me fill it out last week because I haven't thought about my ballot in that way. So ignore that ballot. I am voting for Jokic 1, for Shea 2, for Luka 3, and for Giannis 4. I have not figured out 5 yet. I've narrowed it to Brunson and Tatum, but if I voted now, I would vote for I think I'm going to vote for Brunson.
You're going Brunson.
Tatum. I think so.
Welcome to the dark side, Bill.
I think so.
Welcome to the dark side.
Can I quote Howard Beck? I know he works for somebody else, but he made a point today on the radio show that I have. There should be 7 names on the MVP ballot. There are 10 in Major League Baseball. There's just 5 is not enough. It's not enough because I
actually think 10 is too much.
I would take it. I would rather have 10 than 5. I think Anthony Edwards deserves some love. He'd be 7 on my ballot, probably. It's the Tatum Brunson thing for me that's really tough because they both, especially with the Knicks at 2 now. So the Knicks are at 2. They've had injuries all year, and they're the freaking 2 seed. And Jalen Brunson's been a stud. They could not do this without him. And I think I do think value is different than excellence. And I equate where you finish in the standings in this part of the voting in a very serious way. And even though it was a game here or there, for me, the Brunson argument is really strong. John, we talked about this a few weeks ago, and we were both more Tatum. I know, Ash, where you come down. Are you okay with me going Brunson over Tatum? Because that feels gross either way.
Absolutely. I mean, like we talked about this. It comes down to, I think, as I mentioned to you both on a previous pod, I think the top 4 are pretty unimpeachable. And in that top 4, the real decision is Luka second or is SGA second. And I don't think you can go wrong there. And then the 5th spot is really where the rubber meets the road. And a lot of people have been discussing this. And I think for most of the season, it's been Tatum. Brunson has been so good down the stretch. As you mentioned, they get into the 2 seed. It's the first 51 season in a decade. It's the first top 2 seed in 3 decades. They have really done a lot with a rotation that has been felled by injury. That's because Brunson has been so good. If you want to go with Brunson, vote for Brunson. I don't think there's a wrong answer there. I think it's probably still Tatum for me just because, God, they're like a historic regular season team this year. So I would reward the best player on the best team, but there's no wrong answer. And Brunson deserves some love here.
I think for me, obviously it's Brunson, but I think also taking my bias out of it, I look at it like this. The commonality between all the guys that you named, removing Tatum from the conversation, is I believe that if you take all of them out of the equation, the team falters from where they are very, very miserably, right? So if you take Giannis off the Bucks aren't where they are. If you take SGA off OKC is not where they are. If you take Luka and go so far, you go down the list, right? I think that if you take Jason, and this is like the argument about Jason Tatum, and it's fair and it's not fair in the same conversation, because it's not fair that he is a really, really great player on a really, really great team. And people kind of use that in the argument against him. But he is such a huge part of why they're a really great team. So like that's another side of the argument. But I still think, playing devil's advocate, if you take Jason Tatum out of the rotation for half the season, let's just say, I'm going to use that as the threshold here. I still think the Celtics are a top 5 team in the Eastern Conference, just because the East is not that good.
Probably.
It's also injury ridden.
Great point.
You know what I mean? I think if you take Jalen Brunson out of the rotation for half those games this season, the Knicks aren't even in the playoffs.
All right.
Sold.
You know what? MVP should be the MVP then. We saw what happened with the Sixers, who absolutely cratered, and then
he didn't meet the threshold.
He might be if he hits 65 games. Come on. All right.
The threshold is so dumb. Go ahead, Bill.
I got a couple all-NBA dilemmas here. I'll be curious. So this is the first year that every category is positionless, which creates some interesting complications. And one of them is all-NBA now, in theory, the first team, you could just do your MVP ballot. Only I do calculate, like I said, MVP a little differently, value a little bit different than excellence, I think. And there's some other. So here's what I'm struggling with. I'm going to put my top 4 in my first team all-NBA. Jokic, SGA, Luka, Giannis, easy. Let's just for the sake of argument, say Brunson is 5 on my MVP ballot. I am strongly considering, and if it were Tatum too, flipping that person down to second team and putting Anthony Davis up, in part because I've got AD on my all defensive team. I've got him 3rd on my all D ballot. It's Gobert, Wemby, and I think I'm going to go in that order. And then I think I'm going to go Anthony Davis. Other guys have a case. But I just think like his overall excellent, but I'm not sure philosophically how to navigate that because it's the first time there's no positions.
Well, they've changed. I mean, the way they changed it has really thrown a wrench into what you guys are supposed to do, right? Because especially on defense, like, and we'll get to defense after a little bit here, because like in theory, a lot of the best defenders end up being bigs, but are you going to reward some of these wings like Caruso and Herb Jones and these guys, like the Derek Whites of the world? But for me, for all NBA, I would make this very simple. I would treat it like my top 15 MVP ballot. So for me, if it's Tatum in the 5 on your MVP ballot, then Brunson drops down to second team. I'd have Brunson. I've had Ant Edwards, Anthony Davis, Kawhi Leonard, and probably KD on my second team.
I've got LeBron and KD. I've got Kawhi on third team. I've got LeBron right now.
Okay.
LeBron's been amazing. It's tough, though.
Amazing.
Can I give you my third team? Because I've got a dilemma there, too. And you guys, please correct me. Because I've got Kawhi on my third team because I have him in place of LeBron on the second team where you guys would.
Right.
And I have PG, who's been amazing.
He's been awesome.
I've got Steph, and especially if you talk value, right? I've got Halliburton, but then the 5th spot is, and I could bump those other guys, Sabonis, maybe, Booker, Bam. I think Jaylen Brown has an argument, and so I need to narrow right now. Sabonis, Booker, Bam are the 3 that I'm trying to figure out as the final. And these things matter for people's contracts. They can.
They do.
I feel like Sabonis Sabonis has been having a hell of a season. I mean, I just saw. I think his stats for the season was like 1,505, like something like that. I don't know. I gotta look it up. It was insane. Like
he's like 20, 13, and 8.
I mean, he's a double machine.
I want to beat Kevin Love's record this season.
Him over Booker, though. That's the dilemma.
I just want to, as a quick aside here, like the double streak was impressive. But why do we fetishize double doubles and triple doubles?
I don't care about double doubles or triple doubles, and I would not have voted for Westbrook. Westbrook should not have won the MVP, whatever it was years ago.
Here's the stat that I saw: only 3 players with 1,500 points, 1,000 boards, and 500 dimes in a season. Wilt, Jokic, and now Sabonis. Absolutely a hell of a season.
You are right, but Booker's averaging more points per game than Steph. I think Booker's at 27 or 27 and a half. I think it's 27.1 or 2 points per game, something like that. So do I go Sabonis over Devin Booker? Because I feel pretty good about Kawhi, PG, Steph, and I don't want to be a captain at the moment. Halliburton, maybe the form dipped a little bit, but was amazing. I mean, for half the season, he was number 2 on an MVP ballot.
He was incredible, and then his hamstring gave him trouble. Right. He hasn't looked quite right. I think that's where I'm starting to go. I had Halliburton on third team as well. I think I might end up dropping him off because there's so many good and deserving players. But to make your decision much easier, Bill, I would just treat it as my top 15 for all NBA, and just like here's my top 15 MVP. I'm putting them in order, and I'm just going to make it easy on myself. But we also want to discuss all defense, and then there's most improved, there's 6th man of the year, there's a whole bunch of awards that Bill has to vote for. So one more quick timeout, and then we'll continue that conversation right here on Beyond the Arc.
The Scudetto, where the soul of Italy meets the pinnacle of calcio. Catch Serie A on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount+.
Back on Beyond the Arc. The new rules, Bill, especially for all defense, have complicated things because previously the NBA was like, all right, you got to go by positions. And now they're saying, forget about positions.
It's brutal, dude.
Players. So for all defense, you could, in theory, just have 5 centers. And I don't think anybody would argue with you. I don't have five centers, by the way.
Let me give you what I have.
Yep.
And let's talk it through. Okay.
Yeah.
Ash and John, I got in no particular order, first team, all NBA all defense. Wemby, Gobert, AD, Bam. And I've got Caruso as my last slot, though I find that really, really brutal. I thought about Jones. Kawhi's on there, Derek White, Suggs. And then the fifth spot, I don't know. Now, I don't think Isaac qualifies, but I have some buddies who thinks he does. So I got to look at the ballot because he played 58 games. He's awesome. Presuming he's on there, obviously. I don't think he qualifies. So assuming he doesn't, is it PG? Is it KCP? Am I forgetting somebody? Because that's kind of where I'm at. I got 9 locked in.
For me, and I have no quibbles with your first team. I would flip flop, and I would just go with Rudy, Wemby, Anthony Davis, Bam, and Herb Jones.
See, Herb and Caruso are like
second. I'd have Caruso really second team, but I have no qualms over Caruso and Herb Jones. Like, pick one of those guys. I would go the 4 centers plus 1 wing, drop the other wing down to second team, and then my second team would be Jalen Suggs, Derek White, Chet Holmgren, and Drew as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Chet. Yeah, Chet.
I like that.
Chet's amazing.
Yeah.
Avery's going to get mad at me, Ash, because he said, I think on this pod, he's like, if Herb Jones isn't first team, you should lose your vote. I think was the quote.
Whoa.
Which today I would almost be okay with, because it's like, here's your vote. You have 38 seconds. Go.
Wow.
Oh, you know what? Now that I think about it, we were talking about who should guard LeBron tonight. Do they throw some Herb Jones at him?
There'll be some Jones, but it won't. Yeah, I was thinking of that when you were talking.
I mean, size-wise, it's a problem.
Yeah,
he's such a little bit.
Who's the final? Is KCP a legitimate answer to that?
He's been having a season. It is interesting, right? I think he provides a lot on the defensive effort for Denver, especially with the guy that they lost. Obviously, Bruce Brown was somebody who's a little bit of a pit bull for them last season when they made their championship run. He's obviously no longer there. One of the reasons why I was very surprised, we had this conversation during the trade deadline. I was surprised he wasn't moved because of what he provides in terms of defense and also offense, but he's just a great two-way player. That's why I was surprised he wasn't moved. So KCP stepped up. I don't know if I still would put him.
That's interesting.
KCP is interesting because I was talking to another NBA reporter just this week, actually, and I was just like raving about how good Aaron Gordon and underrated Aaron Gordon has been, like, along the dunker spot, but also like, but defensively he's been awesome, right? And then my buddy was like, but what about KCP? Like, I don't think he's getting enough love. And I'm like, man, that's a great point. He has been really great for them defensively.
Chet's all the sexy things, if you will, on defense. If that makes sense.
Oh, sorry, Ash. Chet's a great shout too, because he is so good defensively, and the Thunder are an outstanding defensive unit. It's really hard. I mean, it's really painful to try to figure some of this stuff out.
I like the KC pick.
That's what's written in right now. I'm going to put it in about 2 hours. Got 2 hours to mull this.
Plenty of time. All right, let's. We got to get into the.
Aaron's telling
me
Olympics. Bruce Brown was traded from Indy to Toronto. Yes, I know. I'm saying I was surprised he wasn't moved from Toronto. I was expecting him to see him somewhere else other than Canada. Thank you, Aaron.
The Thunder are 4th in defensive rating. Like, my head. Can you guys see the smoke coming out of my ears? It's just the. Yeah. All right.
It's a lot to deal with. Because we have so many other things that we got to get to as well. Let's run through the other awards and. There's obviously Rookie of the Year is over. We've got easy. 6th Man of the Year. Who are you thinking about?
So I've locked in.
I know who I want.
So I've locked in on Malik Monk, actually. I've done a reverse Naz Reid, where I know how great Reid was when he stepped in because of the injury to Cat, but also the Kings aren't as good because of the absence of Malik. So right now I've got Monk, Reid, Bogdanovich in that order. But 1 and 2 are still debatable for me. But I'm currently the only thing that's locked is my top 4 MVP. Currently, I have Monk as Malik Monk. The Kings as one.
I could also make a case for Bobby Portis.
Yeah, if there were 5 names. Yeah, if there were 5 names,
I could totally make a case for Bobby Portis.
Legit.
For me, it was Malik Monk until he got hurt, and that sucks because he was having an incredible season. He was so valuable to them. He's in a contract year. But what Naz Reid did while Cat was out moved him up for me. And there are a lot of people who will tell you it's Bogdanovich, and he has been just awesome for them, like the microwave off the bench. But just what Naz Reid, like how he stepped forward at a time when the Wolves desperately needed somebody to do that. That's the tiebreaker for me.
Yeah, for me, he leads it. Like I said, for me, he leads it. I do like Malik Monk, but unfortunately, the injury for me is a factor. Like I said, I can make a strong case for Bobby Portis. I think that he's been phenomenal for the Bucks. There's definitely a few names in the mix that I wouldn't be mad to see on anybody's ballot.
So here, let me real quick. Coach of the year. We know who's going to win coach. We know who's going to win coach of the year. He just won coach of the year. Dagnall's the guy. Right. So right now I've got Mosley 2. I think that's fine. I actually just put Tibbs at 3 and I bumped Finch off of my ballot. And some of it is, and I'm really wrestling with this, and I know, Ash, you're going to agree because you're a Knicks fan and you watch them all the time, but they've been banged up. He had to bring in new guys, like good players, but still had to sort of change the rotation who was available to him because of additions and because of injury subtractions. They finished second in the Eastern Conference. For me, the 3 is really hard. I think Mosley gets credit just because young team shouldn't be this far advanced. You want Tibbs too?
Quickly. Most improved, because that's another one that's tough.
Tyrese Maxey.
So I don't know yet. So I had Maxey at 1, and I put Şengün on there because he does qualify.
He does qualify.
I've got Kobe White at 3 and Jalen Williams at 4, but there is no 4. So
you can't go wrong with any of those names. You know how much I love Şengün. Maxey's been awesome.
Şengün, Maxey, White, I think.
I think also for me, Maxey has a little bit more of an edge. 1, because of the injury to Joel Embiid and how he stepped up. 2, when James Harden left, this team could have went one or two directions. James Harden leaving was the best thing for Maxey's development as an individual player, and he has risen to the occasion in so many different ways. We're seeing the reemergence or the emergence of this new Maxey, and for me, that makes him number 1 for MIP.
You kind of sold me on Maxey there, especially because
you did me too.
As much as I love Şengün, the Rockets went on that run without him, and like Amen Thompson, all of a sudden they were playing small at the 5 with Amen Thompson, who all of a sudden looked really good. I like
NBA rookie second team.
So, all right. So Bill's got a lot of decisions to make. He's going to do that, but we also have to discuss the Team USA roster that's absolutely loaded. We're going to do that next right here, Beyond the Arc.
And they're starting to get in the groove. So impressive.
Lock your schedules. Aces are coming to CBS Sports Network.
Back on Beyond the Arc is the great Mark Zumoff, the former Sixers announcer, used to say, "We are coming in for a landing on the show. We're locking all windows and doors." Team USA announced its roster yesterday. I'm going to read this off to you guys. It is ridiculous. I think it might be. I'm going to read the roster first, and then I'll tell you what I think it might be. All right, they got Steph Curry. It's his first appearance in the Olympics. LeBron, KD, Tatum, Embiid, Devin Booker, Tyrese Halliburton, Ant Edwards, Drew Holiday, Bam Adebayo, and Anthony Davis. They've got one spot left open. Before we discuss the names that we think should get that final slot and who might have been snubbed here, I think this might be, in addition to the Carmelo, Kobe, LeBron Olympic team and the original Dream Team and the original Dream Team, I think this might be in that group as like one of the 3 best U.S. Olympic rosters of all time.
And Steph has never played in Olympics, which it just blows my mind. Yeah.
That is crazy.
It's a crazy amount of talent. Ashley, I wanted to tee you up on this because I know how much you love Jalen Brunson, and you're a big, big supporter of Kyrie Irving, and neither of them are on this team at present.
If I had to pick?
No, I mean, what do you think about them not being on the team?
I definitely think it's crazy.
You had to add them in.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. There is one more spot to fill. Obviously, I do think it's going to be a player like that. I've seen some people throw around.
I got a player.
I've seen some people throw around like Mikal Bridges in the mix. I don't know if I would put him over a Brunson or an Irving if given the opportunity. Listen, Kyrie, his bag is insane. I love me some Jalen Brunson, as you guys know, but if I could fill that spot with anybody, I'm giving it to Kyrie Irving 10 times out of 10. You add him in there, it is the Monstars on steroids. Like,
so according to Shams, the leading candidate for that final spot is Kawhi, along with PG, Brunson.
Kawhi in his knee.
Along with PG, Brunson, Paolo Banchero, and Mikal Bridges being under consideration. It doesn't sound like they're really considering Kyrie.
I would keep Kyrie Irving far away from my Olympic team.
Him not even being in the conversation is crazy. It's one thing not selecting him, but him not even being in the running for the final roster spot is insane.
Would you take Drew Holiday or Tyrese Halliburton?
Kawhi, absolutely not.
Would you take Tyrese or Drew Holiday off in order to put on Kyrie, Jalen Brunson, Kawhi, some of these guys?
Maybe Halliburton.
I personally don't want Kawhi. His knees, like, he's dealing with he should deal with his knee situation. Like, I don't need him playing for Team USA. But I might do that if I had the power. I could do that.
Yesterday on HQ, they asked me who I would add with that extra slot if I had the power. And producer Lucas, have you all worked with Lucas, who's very low key, got into my ear as we were going live and screamed that you're an idiot or some version of that. So
who was the person that you answered that he called you an idiot for?
You need some toughness. You need some dirty play. You need some edge.
Draymond?
Give me Draymond. Give me Draymond.
Oh, I
want Draymond. I want Draymond as my final guy.
I thought they made it clear though very, very early on in the season when Draymond was going through his whole thing that he was not going to be selected for Team USA. Like, they were not even looking at him for the roster.
Steve Kerr is the coach, so he would know best.
Right.
Remember back in the day with the original Dream Team when Charles Barkley got into a fight with one of the Angolans and stomped on him? That's what you'd have an international incident if you send Draymond to Paris.
You might. In Paris, in France. Yeah, good luck, bro.
The ambassadors would be called in.
It'd be like you'd have to send in Liam Neeson to go get him out of whatever international prison he's being held in.
I saw when the rosters were announced, I saw a lot of potentially casual NBA fans giving heat to Tyrese Halliburton and Drew Holiday for being selected here. You may quibble with Tyrese Halliburton, fine. Drew Holiday is an Olympic mainstay. He's a Team USA. He is the glue guy. This is what, when people say, oh, why is Drew Holiday on that roster? Clearly you haven't been paying attention. Drew Holiday isn't putting up massive numbers for the Celtics, but he's a key reason why the Celtics have been as good as they are this season. And he should be on the all defensive team, second team this year. He's that good. And he can switch anybody. I mean, he's going to be a monster and a nightmare for anybody who has to match up with him in the Olympics this season. So if anything, I would say you could quibble over Tyrese Halliburton and then that final spot. But other than that, this team is just stacked.
They're amazing.
Aaron's in the chat just fuming that Steve Kerr is the head coach for Team USA once again. He's just not a happy person at all.
Yeah, he's got a weird thing with Steve Kerr.
He hates Steve Kerr.
He said Steve Kerr is the coach, ...
If USA does not get the gold, will we all swing to Aaron's view that Steve Kerr is grossly overrated?
Not only will Team USA get the gold, they might not lose a game.
That's not the question, though. If they don't get the gold, will you, John
in this
Gonzalez,
alternate universe?
You got to play the games. You got to play the games.
Aaron wants to remind you that Steve Kerr was the problem in the
World Cup. That's exactly right.
Is Steve Kerr roster
branded? No, he did not. Is he branded as grossly overrated? That sounds like it's a yes because you've already crowned them champions.
I sure. If they somehow don't win the gold, then I'll start to subscribe. I'll at least entertain the notion that Steve Kerr isn't as good as I think he is. I think Steve Kerr is an excellent basket. What are we talking about? The guy has four championships. He was an assistant under Pop on a gold medal winning team. I mean, he's one of the great coaches of all time. He's got a weird thing. Don't go by Aaron. He's got a weird thing with Steve Kerr.
I think what we really
I want to speak for
what we really need to be celebrating as a podcast right now is the fact that our head coach for Team USA is not Doc Rivers. That's what we should be celebrating.
I would root for France.
and on that very, very patriotic note, it is probably time for us to go. We encourage Ashley's doing her jazz elbows. We encourage everybody to tell your friends about us. By the way, guys, we're back at it tomorrow. We're going to discuss what happens in the West play-in games tonight. We're going to preview the East play-in games. And oh yeah, Big time news, CBS Sports Network. It's going to be our debut tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. Come and join us, please. But for now, for our NBA insider, Bill Ryder, for Ashley Nicole Moss, fresh off that W draft, I'm John Gonzalez. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.